Hey Adam,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really envious of your environment right now. It's like rainy and sleety where I'm at, so I'm
Oh,
I'm yearning for that.
oh man, I'm envious of your outfit.
Oh, thanks. I,
I,
I thought I'd spruce up for you today.
yeah, whereabouts are you?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have like winter, spring on rotation until maybe
Yeah,
June.
I'm from Toronto, so I get it.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right into it. Congrats on this arc. What a role to take on. I'm sort of curious how you even began to take this on and approach Roxie. I think it's such a probably, I would imagine, daunting character. So talk me through your approach.
Yeah, it was really important to me that I commit. I mean, every character I play, I do a deep level of commitment, and I'm always trying to bring, the truth to every moment. But in particular for this one, it just felt like, okay, if I don't hit that mark, then anyone watching who has been through this will see through um, something that's not fully there. So it was, and I also saw it as an opportunity. I think that death and mortality is something that we all avoid as much as possible in our lives until, maybe we lose someone close to us, and but in particular our own death is something that I think we don't really want to admit will ever happen to any of us. And but I also think that it's extremely wise to try to wrap your head around that, to give perspective that this is what we've got this moment. And so for to do justice to the character as well as to deepen my own relationship with life and with death, I thought, okay, this is a really good opportunity to meditate on this big scary, universal thing we have. So um I I guess I read as many memoirs on, death and dying, and in particular people who had had like a cancer diagnosis and used their, last couple years to write something to offer what they were going through. I started with Paul Kalanithi, When Breath Becomes Air. It's a gorgeous memoir that I would recommend to anyone. He was a neuroscientist, neurosurgeon, acclaimed neurosurgeon, who got diagnosed in his mid 30s, and he was also somebody who appreciated literature, and so he was just an incredible writer, and took, really laid it all out, the whole experience, and looked into the philosophy of life and death, as well as just kind of the gritty raw details of going through that. Um, I also did a workshop with a prominent death doula in California here. That was really beautiful. It was a workshop of, I think that the subject was facing death, and so we all went through kind of like, what are we most afraid of? What do we want? What, talking about after death care, and or after, like, what you would do with your body. And I, for a while it was pretty morbid around my house. I feel
Yeah.
like every book that I had open like had the word death and dying. I read a few Buddhist texts on it, and I also spoke to some women who run a group in, or a facility in Toronto called Gilda's Club. It was founded by Gilda
Mm-hmm.
Radner. Yeah, it's for people, and they're, anyone who's going through or has gone through cancer, who's, supporting someone going through that, and or has lost someone. And it's an amazing place. My dear friend worked there for a few years, and I spoke with a couple of women there who were very forthcoming with just their experience. And all of these kind of conversations and these stories that I was picking up on, even just reading Reddit forums, I think it just started to kind of live in me. And it was a journey to carry that,
Yeah.
that heaviness over that time. But it was also a gift. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. It sounds so profound to just
Mhm.
like carry that. So thank you for sharing that. As someone who
Yeah.
is like always actively very afraid of death and dying, I
Or,
really appreciate that insight. That's
or
so well adjusted.
well, yeah. I mean,
And beautiful.
everything in your body and your mind wants to go, no, no, this is
Yeah.
gonna happen. That, like, but I think, yeah, I remember one moment in particular when I was lying in the hospital bed as Roxie, and I was kind of like fiddling with the ring on my finger, and the thought I was having, and it was it's so beautiful when you really start to connect with the character because your thoughts just merge with theirs, and I was looking at this ring and I was thinking, this ring will outlive me. The silver on this ring and the diamond in this ring will outlive me,
Yeah.
and the body that it's currently on right now will be gone, and it will still be here. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's humbling for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Um, so kind of speaking of like the character and you like merging, you
Yeah.
spend a lot of time with Roxie. I think we get more time with her than a lot of patients that
Mhm.
come through the pit. So like kind of a two-tiered question. Did you find that helpful to have that extended time with her? And how did you kind of chart her emotional journey across a more spread out arc then?
Yeah, I mean, it was so interesting to play a character where it is spread out, but it's only in her life, it's only a span of about 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
And what's so unique about the set of the Pit is that they shoot it chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
And so, on pretty much any other medical drama show, I would, for this role, I probably would have been in for 1 or 2 days maximum an episode. I would have shot all my scenes back to back. And but in the case of the Pit, you go in and you shoot. They're working scene by scene. So if you're
Yeah.
in scene 3, you come in for that day, and then if you're not in again till scene whatever 15, you come in a few days later. But but really only 10 minutes has passed for Roxie from
Yeah.
Monday to Thursday. So it was important to, and but I mean, within, obviously there's so many shifts that are happening for her on a really, extremely deep level. So it was important to kind of say, okay, at what stage of um, you know acceptance is she at here, and at what stage of wanting space from her family to go deeper into this you know moment of that at the end of the day, it's you are alone, really. You've
Yeah.
got your family there, but yeah, it was a challenge, a unique challenge to kind of chart that and carry it over such an extended period of time. And to I felt like throughout the months of filming, I kind of had this, I just had this sadness in me, but it was not a sadness that brought me down. It was just like she was there with me, and what I also felt, I think, especially because the nature of the set, which is that I just knew the one room. Like, once I was in that room, that's where I went every day. And you're going on days also where they're not shooting your scenes because you're kind of seen in the background as they
Yeah.
pass through. Um, so I felt like every time I left that room, I was leaving Roxie was
Mm.
still there, like she was there, and it makes me emotionally to talk about now because it was like I'm able to go home and be with my family and live my life, but this woman is still in that room, and it was, yeah, it was this. I can even pull it up now. Like, it's like the muscles in my body started to become very familiar with kind of just the uh, the heaviness that she was experiencing, but also so much love,
Yeah.
like, because in those moments of when we're faced with something so extreme, when we're faced with, oh, I'm going to lose everything, oh, I'm going to lose this person I love so much, you all the bullshit goes out the window. And working with the actors, working with Taylor Hanley, who was just such a beautiful, open, loving human, and John and Bonita, who played my parents as well whenever they came in, and the boys, Banks and Emmett, like there was just so much beauty exchanged between us.
Yeah.
And it's the same as, when I've been through moments like that in my own life. I feel like, you just grow so close to the people that you're going through that experience with. And there's something so, it's just, it's so sad, but at the same time, you're so aware of how alive you are in that moment,
Mm,
and how fleeting it is, and how important just, so all the anxieties go away. And so it was this weird thing when the show ended, though I was kind of, of course I was like, okay, well, that's a bit of a relief that I don't have to carry that sadness with me. I was also like, but man, those are the moments, like that's when we all come together as humans, and
yeah.
have to kind of live that through the show. And then you go back to real life where people are like, hey, how's it going, the
Yeah.
weather, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish we could all just kind of exist in that space,
Yeah.
without having the
Of course.
the tragedy. Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of touched on my next question, but the family dynamic is so beautiful. And like, particularly your relationship with Taylor, it all feels so rich with history, even though we don't really get to see a lot or dive too much into it. I felt like all of the little intricacies and nuances between you all as a unit. Could you kind of talk to me about building out that dynamic as a family and as partners, as your parents and it was so beautiful and rich.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all came to the set with, whatever prep we had done. For me, I I I have a few coaches that I like to work with. I have an old friend who's a great coach out of Toronto. His name's Doug Nyback. And I also did a lot of work with Warner Laughlin, she's particularly, the work that we do together is about really building the history of a character, and kind of creating these tangible memories that you share. And in particular, whenever you're kind of approaching a character that's losing something, you have to really do a lot of work on, you don't want to just think about, oh, this sad thing that I'm losing. It's more like, what's the beauty, what's the joy, what's the, what are the happy memories, because then it's like thinking about those things are what will kind of make the loss of them, land. Um so yeah, for me it was really about kind of just making many creative decisions about who Roxie was, as a person, and who she was as a mom, and the life that she, and I still think about like the cabin on the lake that they were going to build that they couldn't build together, like
Yeah.
um and the things that they used to do when they go get ice cream together. Like these are things that, like, when that ice cream scene then happens, it's like you're being brought back to a much happier time and much sillier time, and then the kind of, yeah, juxtaposition of what's happening in this moment is so hard. So um for me, that was it. And then, but then it's also just kind of giving yourself over to the other actors, and
Yeah.
and truly, yeah, like I remember the scene with when John and Bonita first arrive, when the parents first arrive. And I mean, they just came ready to go there, and it was so beautiful. Well, I'll tell you that story first. Like, John, I won't speak for him, but a number of the actors on the set, they had very personal experiences losing someone to
Yeah.
cancer, um and so, their hearts were like full and ready to, uh they just knew that moment intimately. And I just remember with John, just, yeah, looking in his eyes, and it when it's magic between two actors, like, you're all that prep is great and it's there and it's feeding you, but it's also just about the honesty of the moment and looking in his eyes, like everything was kind of just it welled up in me,
Yeah.
and oh, what was the other moment I was gonna was talking about? Oh yeah, I remember there was one moment where we were all, I can't remember, like Leslie was there who plays the death doula, the whole gang of us. It was a very sad moment to all of us kind of like, deep in our committing to this. And
Mhm.
and then when they kind of got through the scene, I think we all looked around and we laughed and we were just like, man, what a great, like it was so beautiful because I think it reminded us all of being kids, when you're just
Oh,
kids and you're like, let's commit to this reality. Let's, and all of us
sure.
were there to just go to, and even though it was so sad, it was something so silly too
Yeah.
and playful that and also just kind of one of these weird moments where we looked around, we're like, man, being an actor is weird. Like
Right.
that we all love this, that we all are drawn to this,
Yeah.
this imagination of something, it's so sad, but it was beautiful to share that with a lot of actors that were just
Oh,
down
yeah.
down to go there.
Oh my gosh. It sounds so magical. That whole, everybody involved in that storyline is like, I don't know. Every time I watch, I was like, oh, they're on. They're like
Mhm.
locked in and on. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I think we all felt a responsibility to
Yeah.
to do it, to the best of our abilities, and it was so gratifying and touching on set because crew members would come up to me and say, "Oh, I lost my husband to cancer," and it was I think it was hard for them to watch this storyline, but I think it was also, and maybe the same is true for a lot of the people watching at home. I think it's twofold. I've
Yeah.
say that it was very hard to watch, but also it was cathartic in ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I feel like The Pit as a show can kind of get pretty big and chaotic, but what stood out to me most about your performance specifically is it's this kind of exercise in restraint, but I don't think you ever diminish like her dignity or agency in the
Mm.
quiet. So I just was wondering like how you were able to find power in the quietness. I feel like sometimes like especially maybe for like a performer, like being in the quiet is a little daunting. So could you talk about maybe finding that power in there?
I appreciate that came through,
Oh, good.
because I think there were a number of things at play. I mean, definitely, this is it's a huge moment for her of, she's, when you are sick and when you have doctors, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to hook this up to you, we're going to do, everyone's kind of, oh, like, what do you need? Everyone's around her taking care of her. So I think there was kind of, when she arrives at the hospital, there is this kind of building anger and frustration and feeling trapped by that, by not feeling like she really is able to have a voice in this situation. But then as it goes on, I think you know being on another challenge that I learned, like, loved about being on that set was because I was trapped in this bed, and it was quite an ordeal to like get me all hooked up and get the boot on and everything. Once I was in the bed, it was only if I had to use the bathroom really badly that I would, like, duck out for a
Yeah.
minute. So normally on another set, you'd hop in, they'd line up the shot, and then you'd go back to wherever you are to continue like getting into the, whatever you need to focus yourself. Um, but I had to kind of hold that focus while they were, setting up the cameras around me, and there was a lot of, in between setups, there can be a lot of chaos and a lot of noise, and I think I really had to find like a different way of preparing for each scene.
Mm,
Of course, the prep in advance is its own thing, but the kind of like moments before, where I may otherwise have been, behind the set, listening to my music, doing some,
yeah.
body movements. I was having to be very still, and I had to go inward, and I had to, hold on to a really intense focus in this chaos. And I think that's where a lot of the power kind of um, came from, and you don't, for that reason, as well as just kind of really like, I cannot physically do any more than this, but I have something
Mm.
very important to get across, yeah, I think that that really did generate its own power inside of my body. And
Yeah,
uh, yeah, it's like, I think I kind of understood meditation in a way that I
I
never
bet.
have before.
No, I bet. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. That's so like profound and interesting and kind of like serendipitous the way it kind of falls and like allows you to
Yeah,
recalibrate.
it did actually, like,
Mm.
even just talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I got a little bit
Yeah.
of that in my life a little
Yeah, right.
bit. Yeah.
Um, just kind of to wrap up, I loved that McKay is the one to really go along with Roxie on this for the most part. And she's doing all she can to make sure Roxie's space is safe and comfortable. You and I have talked about how heavy this all is. So I was wondering like how you and Fiona ensured that each other felt safe and comfortable enough to take this on and go there, because I think you're both very dialed in. You're both very clearly holding space for one another and accessing a lot. It's beautiful to watch. And I can't imagine you can't go there without feeling safe and comfortable with the other.
For sure. Fiona was a beautiful, beautiful energy to work opposite. And she was just so supportive. I just felt like we didn't have to say much. We would just kind of look at each other and in between takes and just kind of acknowledge the other person's, what they were giving. And yeah, afterwards we'd usually go grab a coffee on the lot and like unpack and chill.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, she was just there. Like, she's just a very present person, with her own, she carries a lot of strength and a lot of playfulness, but
yeah,
and yeah, I just feel like we both kind of like were able to, yeah, hold space for the human that each other,
of course.
and I really enjoyed working with her.
Oh, you could tell, especially like that scene specifically where she asks for advice on dying.
Yeah.
I know it like is so like twofold, kind of sarcastic, but also very genuine. And
Well, I mean, and it's hard,
God,
for Fiona, like those scenes, in some ways they can be harder for the person that's listening
I
to just,
bet.
drop in and really be there, without forcing anything. And that she was there. She was there with
Oh
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did those moments feel special when you were doing it? Because they've really struck a chord with audiences. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when they aired, like, all over the feeds are like, oh my
Mhm.
God. But did that
Yeah.
feel special in the moment? Could you feel that?
Yeah, it did. That scene was really daunting. When I read that script and I saw that scene, I was like, oh damn, okay.
Yeah.
And I looked at that scene from, like, I feel like I chiseled away at it for as much time as I could beforehand to kind of really, so that it would land in a truthful way and not be too melodramatic and not be, and
Yeah.
and uh Sean Hattasey directed that episode, and he's so amazing, and he's just such a lovely, gentle, actor's director, right?
Yeah.
So he would come in and just kind of, it was just very intimate the way that he worked with actors, and he'd just speak directly to you and really kind of, you know, maybe offer a story from his own life that might inspire, what just, or give you something new, something. Because when you've done a scene, like when you said it like however many times you have to say it on a set, it's kind of nice to have someone come in and just say, maybe this, like, not
Mhm.
really, not throw anything totally new at you, but just, here's another thought. And yeah, no, that, I mean, I do remember on set, there was a really beautiful response from the people that were sitting behind the monitors, and also I just felt, yeah, as an actor, you you I think you're a decent gauge of maybe like, okay, I think I did something honest there.
Yeah.
And that felt definitely like that in the moment. I felt like, okay, I did my job.
I'm so glad you feel that way because
Yeah.
you did, girl, you did. It was such a treasure to like witness that and watch your work. I'm glad you feel great about it.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, those are all my questions. Gosh, yeah. Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being so open and honest. I know this
Yeah.
is like a heavier character and probably stirs up a lot. So I appreciate you willing to
Oh
sit
yeah.
and talk about it.
I'll just say like it's the sort of character that I set out to become an actor for. And
Yeah.
the fact that it's not just, entertaining people, but it's, I have, yeah, people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I lost my grandpa," and they have tears in their eyes and like, "Thank you." And it's like I want, the aspirational reason to act is to connect us as humans and to be a part of a conversation that does help cut out the bullshit of life and
Hmm.
remind us all of what we share. And so um it's my pleasure to talk about it in the aftermath, and
Good.
I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity to embody this Roxie.
I'm so glad you got to. Yeah. Thank you again.